morning. We are in Redwood National Park. I keep seeing signs around here for state parks and national parks, and I assumed they were all different things, but the woman in the visitor center said, no, it's all one thing. It's all managed together. The National Park Service and the California State Forest Service, I guess, manage them together, and that's really unique. I've never seen that before. So we are starting out by driving down the Newton-Drury Scenic Byway. Our campground is in Klamath, which is in the northern part of the park. And we're going to make our way south today and do some exploring. Thanks for coming along. So redwoods are the tallest trees in the world. They can be about over 350 feet tall, and they can live 2,000 years. Most live about 500 to 700 years. And the reason that they grow so wide and, they're so long-lived is because they don't have any natural diseases that will destroy them, and they are not subject to insect damage. Now, sequoias, which are also big, massive trees here in California, only grow on the western face of the Sierra Nevada mountains. So they are more over to the Nevada border side and farther south in California. Those sequoias can get bigger around, but not as tall as redwood. So average diameter of a redwood could be about 20 feet wide, 350, 370 feet tall. And we are seeing some beautiful, massive ones today here in the national park.
Look how tiny Jason looks. You can't really appreciate how big the trees are until you see a person next to them. Get a little bit of the feel there. Lots of elk here in the redwoods. Wow. They must be putting something on that tree to attract them, because they're licking the tree. Maybe salt to bring them close for the tourists.
There's 3 visitor centers here in the national park, but the Kutchel Visitor Center, that's the southernmost one, is the largest. And by the way, Redwood National Park is free entry. Now, a lot of the state parks that are within it have day use fees for their little areas, but the overall national park is free. Coming south out of the visitor center, you're going to have a beautiful oceanside drive down Route 101. And there are some little scenic roads that come off of there. We've taken one of those down to the little town of Trinidad, which is just a quaint oceanside town. We just did a quick drive-through. And now we're gonna do kind of a loop drive back through the interior of California, back to our campground. But we're gonna go through a little town called Willow Creek, which is famous because it's where the original 1968-67 footage of Bigfoot was shot. So there's a lot of Bigfoot things there. Unfortunately, the Bigfoot Museum is closed for the winter right now, so we won't be able to get to go in that, but let's see what we can find. All right, well, here's the Bigfoot track. Let's see. It's not super big, but a little bigger. So in 1967, 2 men were out in the national forest that's about, 25 or more miles outside of Willow Creek, and they took that footage on their movie camera that became so famous. Is it a hoax or not? I believe it is. I believe it is a hoax.
I hope it says turn around.
Don't go this way.
Hoopa
Reservation. Indian reservation.
Interesting. Just gonna take this shortcut. Knock a little time off of our drive.
I can't even see the time. It's an hour 8. We've been driving for at least half an hour already on this road. We decided to take a shortcut back to the campground because we didn't want to drive back through the national park like we just came down. We always like to take alternate scenic routes.
And by shortcut, I mean it's like
Well, it wasn't
20,
shorter.
30, 30
it was a
minutes
little longer.
but different.
But we are in the Hoopa Indian Reservation. Actually, we just came out of it. And yeah, there's this dirt road for miles and miles through this mountain. There's no houses up here. There are some driveways cut in, but as far as we can figure, it was an old logging road, possibly.
Yeah, because these trees are much smaller and younger.
And I want you to know that I drove most of it. Jason just wanted to try it at the end, so now he's taking a turn. But I did it.
You sure did.
Ooh.
It's just... it's just something you gotta slow down for.
I'm glad it's light out. Oh, look. We made it to a paved road.
Alright, let me get a better angle here. Looks like we're coming back into the national park. Redwood National and State Parks. Very pretty. Though this is a dirt road, this looks a lot smoother than the road we were on a few minutes ago. It's a little smoother dirt road than the previous one. What a pretty drive.
Wow.
Look, there's a pothole there. Here, we'll give the viewers at home a little sense of what's going on.
So I'll be honest, we do sometimes get ourselves into scrapes when taking scenic routes and shortcuts. But this one actually turned out amazing. After that very, very long drive on a very, very horrible dirt road through the mountain, we came out onto Bald Hills Road. This is the eastern back entrance into Redwoods National Park. And after we drove this, we did see signage and things on the brochures saying that sometimes the GPS will take you in the wrong direction, and please do not enter the park through Bald Hills Road. There was all kinds of warnings against this road because it is very rugged. However, this was one of the most beautiful scenic drives we have ever taken. The Bald Hills here coming into the park are just gorgeous. The vista is beautiful, and it was just one of the most magical drives that we've ever taken. So I'm so glad that even if by mistake, we ended up here. So you've probably seen sometimes these magnets in the background on my fridge here. And we've got quite a collection now. This is our domestic magnets, and these are our international magnets. But we've done something with the national park magnets that we get. When we first started, we started getting these big magnets, and then we quickly realized that they were taking up too much room on the fridge. So our hack is to buy a pin, like a lapel pin, and turn that into a magnet instead. So this is one we just bought for Redwoods National Park. And what I do is I take a little wrench and I get this nail off of here, which comes off really easily, usually, off of these. And then I have these neodymium magnets, which are super strong. I get them at Home Depot. These are the small size. They do have bigger size as well, but they are really, really strong. And they're fine for the fridge. And they also have self-adhesive on them. So they're really super easy to stick onto these lapel pins. Make sure it's on there good and tight. All right, now it's all ready to go. So Oh, we've also done that with White Sands, Yosemite, Joshua Tree. What else? Grand Canyon, Sedona. So I really like the size of these, and we can fit way more on the fridge with their this size than the big magnets. Just want to share that with you. Yeah.
Look at the trees behind us, just in the image. They just look like tiny trees or regular trees on our land, but these trees are huge. They're way further away from us.
Well,
I mean, this one's big,
especially.
All right. Yeah, there's a ranger a couple back was telling us how he was giving you some tips on how to take pictures or to look at stuff, but he was saying how it's really hard to capture how big and impressive these trees are on camera because there's no reference point. So unless you have a person or a vehicle to give a little reference, it just looks like pine trees when they're pine trees times 5 or 10x. So all I'm saying is it's much more impressive here than there.
You know, I've been finding that the difference between Redwood Park and places like Yosemite or the Grand Canyon is that most national parks, I would say, focus on places that have very wide vistas. You're looking at mountains and valleys and rivers and, you know, things that are way off in the distance and are very grand. But here, everything is about the up close. The closer you are to the trees, the more grand they are. And if you see them off in the distance, they actually don't look as impressive because you can't tell how big they are. But once you're up close and intimate to them, you know, it really brings them to life.
You have to crane your neck to even try to take it in, and then they're surrounding you. Gives us
I mean, these trees are hundreds of feet tall, which is, you know, multiple times as tall as a house. You could maybe stack 10 houses on top of each other and you wouldn't even get to the tops of these trees. Amazing. So I mentioned before that Redwood National Park is unique because it's combined with other California state parks and they're all managed together as one thing. So there are 3 state parks that are within the national park, and we are right now in Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park. It's the northernmost state park. We're almost to the Oregon border, and we're going to drive up to Oregon in a little bit. But this is Stout Memorial Grove. We wanted to pull over here. Actually, the ranger at the Northern Visitor Center told us that this was a good short hike, half a mile. We can see the Stout Grove here.
So maybe this will give some perspective. So I'm going to walk towards these trees that I don't know. They might just look sort of normal. Maybe they're a little big on the... But watch as I get smaller and smaller and the tree gets bigger. This isn't even the biggest one here. It's bigger over there.
You look so tiny.
Here. This is an even bigger one over here. It's really cool standing in the middle of these. Something out of Lord of the Rings.
Some of these trees have clear scorch marks on them. So some fire came through here at one point, but didn't consume the trees. I don't know why. The trees were wet. They're just too big.
I think they're fire resistant too. There's sort of 2 ways these reproduce. The normal or the more common with the seeds, but also they'll clone themselves. So if this tree was destroyed or fell over, there's something about these burls, these kind of knobby parts that can send off clones of the original tree. And so sometimes you'll see that around an old damaged stump or tree. There's all these other trees, and I believe in general those are clones of the original mother tree instead of seeds that were germinated and grew. Here, what's the scale here?
You instantly look
these
so
are
tiny.
Trees that were like this, and then fell away from each other. Look at There's like so many different things going on here. These real tiny. And that.
Next, we're going to head up to Oregon. It's only 40 minutes away. Just over the state line is another redwood stand grove, little hike that looked intriguing, and I kind of want to go into a different state. It's not part of the national park, but there are redwoods up into Oregon, so let's try it out. Well, we've arrived at the Oregon Redwoods Trail, and there's a little parking lot and bathroom here, which seems to indicate that we're at the right place, but there's no signage that says that trail and no like trail markers or signs or anything. And this trail seems kind of steep and it's raining. So we're gonna get our bearings a little bit here, but we might not do this hike. It's a little bit soggy right now. It was just a fun drive here into Oregon. There's a 4-mile kind of rough dirt road to get up here, which is clearly marked on Google, but we did use 4-wheel drive to get up here with the truck. Mostly because it's raining. I don't think you would necessarily need 4-wheel drive, but it was helpful for us. But see, like, there's this bathroom and a parking lot, so it seems to be an official place. I'm just surprised that there's no signage here. I looked at their website, I guess, from their Google listing, because it was marked on the map as a trailhead, and then I looked at their website and there was a nice description of it. So I thought, oh, that'd be fun, but anyway, here we are in Oregon. Aha, Jason found it. He didn't give up. It's on the other side of the parking lot.
Oh, here's a good reference of.
Yeah. Statue of Liberty 305, Redwoods 375. Oh, so this is the southern Oregon is the northern limit of the Redwood Range. Interesting.
Yeah.
So one of the rangers was telling us that redwoods get, what'd you say, 40%?
I think that's what I remember.
40% of their moisture from fog in the air because they are so tall that they can't pump water up from the ground all the way up to the top. So they have to get moisture out of the air for the tops of the trees. And if they don't have enough moisture, the tops of the trees might die, even though the lower down trunks are intact. All right, this trail looks a little better. We'll go for a little walk.
Though, of course, good 90% of the time, I'd rather be sunny and dry for hiking. There's something about that little bit of rain, and especially in this kind of place where it adds something to it. So it's just barely sprinkling, it's dripping down, and you can kind of hear it. The air feels much cooler, the moisture on your face.
Oh, here's a big one.
Yeah.
Not too many this size, but there's some.
It's still on the smaller side of the other ones, but one of the biggest ones here. It's a platform into this, broken off. Watch your step there in that part. And come in and sweep up once you come in. Surprised someone's not making cookies and crackers here.
All right, we're going to leave you here. We had a great time at Redwoods National Park. It's a beautiful park. The trees are majestic and amazing. And so we're glad that we were able to stop here on our way north. Next time, actually tomorrow, we're going to head up the Oregon coast and we'll be there for the next few days. So we'll see you there next time. And thanks for coming along. Bye, guys.
Look how it's back, like enveloping all that branch there too.